On this super snowy day, I thought I would talk about the truth and fallacies of the Just Add Ice Orchids. So, I thought about doing this because, yes, if you look at my windows, they are covered in snow and ice. And anyone who thinks about snow and ice does not think about tropical plants. So, why is it that Just Add Ice Orchids have been so successful and popular as a marketing ploy? And it is a marketing ploy because really orchids would probably prefer water to ice cubes. But the most common question I get when I'm at the repotting table is, well, I've just been giving it 3 ice cubes and it's been doing fine. So why do they tell you to water your orchid with ice cubes if you shouldn't do it? So first of all, let me say that many commercially available Phalaenopsis, which is the brand or the type, the species of orchid that, the type of orchid, I don't say species, that Just Add Ice markets, are potted in sphagnum moss. So here's a pot in sphagnum moss. It's easy to transport because unlike bark, it doesn't come out when you turn the pot upside down. So here's my pot, here's my plant, it's upside down, and it doesn't fall out. So this is easy to get your product to market in sphagnum moss. Now, the problem with sphagnum moss is that it's really easy to overwater it. It's really easy to put too much water in it, soak the roots, suffocate them, and then the plant dies. So I don't want to say manufacturer, but the seller came up with this excellent marketing idea that would limit people from adding too much water to sphagnum moss, which was just to put 3 ice cubes on and let it melt. And this would work conceptually in general if you don't have any roots exposed on top of the moss. So you can see that in this pot right here, I only have 1 little root, and if I was really careful and I put the ice cubes right here on the moss where I don't have any root exposure, or perhaps even any roots just underneath or close, then on a warm day, the ice would slowly melt. It would water the plant without overwatering it, and the roots would be fine because they're not close to the ice cube. The problem comes is when the ice cubes are touching the roots. And just like humans who are exposed to cold temperatures for a long time, the orchid roots will get frostbite. And so if ice cubes are put on top of the roots, then they will slowly die. They get frostbite, they freeze or burn, and they die, and then the plant eventually dies. But most people don't notice because Phalaenopsis orchids are known for blooming between 3 to 6 months. They're a long blooming orchid. And so really, by the time you have burned all the roots to death with the ice cubes and the flowers have fallen off, someone has owned that plant 3 to 6 months. And that is long past the return policy time on a plant if you bought it at Lowe's or Trader Joe's or Home Depot. And so for the seller of Just Add Ice Orchids, it is great. They have sold the plant, and then 6 months later, the plant is dying, and so most people then throw the plant out and they get a new one because these are like $10 orchids and they're cheap. So I think that's why they're so popular. They're easy to replace. It's an easy maintenance. You know, most people can remember to put 3 ice cubes on an orchid every week. So that's part of the marketing, is that it's not a lot of work. Where it doesn't work is for people who want to do a lot of stuff with their orchids. They want to baby it all the time, they want to fiddle with it, and then if you're dumping ice cubes by the cup load on your orchid, well, it's going to die really fast. But they basically didn't want people watering their orchids all the time because the sphagnum moss is going to retain the water too much and the orchids would suffocate and die from overwatering. So that's the concept. And if you are super, super lazy and you have no exposed roots, then Just Add Ice would work just fine. I mean, it does. People do it. There is success. Probably not as much as if you grew an orchid correctly, but it's enough to keep that company in business. And so that's my take on the truth and fallacies of Just Add Ice Orchids on Super Snow Day.